Sorry. Help, please. Whew. Oh, yeah, wow. A game that needs no introduction. A game with a box so big that you could fit a small dog in it. Not that you should. You shouldn't actually. Don't do that. A game that has made its way up the Board Game Geek rankings to #1 and has been there, I think, ever since it got there. And it has never relinquished its spot. But we're not here to talk about this game. We're here to talk about its sleek, sexy, little, much lighter brother. Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion. Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion is a fully cooperative adventure dungeon crawler game. It's a sequel of the original Gloomhaven, and this game just takes that same recipe as its big brother and effectively just strips it down, minimalizes it, and makes it easier for pretty much everyone. And because of that, is it better? What about this game makes it different or special or unique to the larger game of Gloomhaven? And if you already own Gloomhaven, are you even interested? Do you even want to play Jaws of the Lion? And the answer is, well, easily to that question is that if you are a fan of Gloomhaven, this is a must-have, I feel. Firstly, Gloomhaven, the original one, has something like 100 missions in it, and my gaming group played that game for over a year and have gotten high 70s in terms of the amount of missions we've actually played. Though Jaws of the Lion doesn't have the same breadth of scope in terms of all the things that are available to you with the original Gloomhaven, not all of those things are necessary to have fun with the game. And so I feel like with the playthroughs that I've done of the Jaws of the Lion, the act of streamlining it, simplifying so many things in regards to the game, and I'm going to go into each one of those about what that is, makes this game more fun or more easy to bring to the table and an enjoyable experience. And I feel like they've taken the formula of Gloomhaven, which is already a great game if you like dungeon crawl games, take it and make a faster to the table, quicker to set up, and just as much fun as the originals without all the bulk. Oh, perhaps not, but perhaps yes. One of the very first things you're going to notice, obviously, when it comes to the Jaws of the Lion versus the original Gloomhaven, and it's for all to see, is firstly that it's cheaper, and secondly, it's smaller. And does smaller mean that you're going to get less gameplay? Is that going to be less fun? Is that going to be less enjoyable? We don't have all the things that you want in it. And it has less stuff. There are less missions. Most importantly, from a normal of the original one being 100 missions and this one being only 25, significant decrease. But to be able to go through all 100 missions of the original Gloomhaven is a true undertaking. That's not something that you really have to do repeating amounts of gameplay to make that game, to be able to even get anywhere close to 100. And if you've got a group or a gaming group that is already done that, well, firstly, you already done that, so congratulations on you. But then secondly, well, here's another game that you can do and have an additional 25 missions, which is cool. But what about the people who never bought the original Gloomhaven and are interested in coming into a game and wanting to see what Gloomhaven is about? Jaws of the Lion, without a doubt, is the better place and the place that you should start first. It does a great job of introducing you to the game, introducing you to the mechanics, and making it very, very easy. The very first few missions sets it up in such a way that you get to read the rules and learn the rules as you go along, which is always very nice. You don't have to read the 20-page manual in order to even understand what you need to do. You just need to get going, and this game will get you there. And that's awesome. That just puts you right into the fun, right into the thick of it, and the questions that you may have will get answered as you go along. And the first 5 missions are kind of all tutorial things, helping you understand. Now, for the veterans out there, you won't need it. You won't really want it. The only thing that you're kind of getting is learning how the new characters work. Jaws of the Lion simplifies some things perfectly, and let me explain where and what I'm talking about. So in the original Gloomhaven, organization, it just didn't come with any organization. It probably gives you some Ziploc bags, but not really enough to be able to contain it, and then to be able to properly take it apart and set up a board game and make it easy for you. Just didn't have that. And in this one, they have gone, yes, we want to make it easy for you to play. And it did such a great job. I mean, it's not like absolutely perfect, but the fact that all the cards for the city or just miscellaneous cards that you need or items are all here. You've got your boxes, you've got your main envelopes for your characters, all got a specific space for them, plus your enemy cards. It all fits into this box. My box, the current Gloomhaven, is split on the seams of that box. I had to use tape just to keep it together, of how full and how heavy that box actually is. So them being able to put all of this in and make it fit into this box is, well, clutch. Another key thing that they've done to help sort of streamline everything, not just the cards, is actually the map. They have found a way to shrink down all the tiles and be able to place it into a booklet. And this is cool. I mean, this is cool. It may not seem like it's cool, but I tell you that it is. You pick the page, you know what mission you're on, you flip to the page that you're opening to, and everything that you need is written out there for you to set up the game. And it will take you some time, but really no time at all in comparison to the original one. The original one was all these tiles that you have to find the appropriate thing. There's got these very little tiny like codes that say JK3 or whatever it is, some letters, and then you have to fit all of them together. And it's a table hog. This isn't exactly not a table hog. It definitely takes up space with all the characters and stuff like that. But in terms of just the simplicity of it, this is awesome. You almost kind of wish that the original game had something like this, where there are multiple books that you could open up and flip through and then just go to the mission that you need to. There are more combinations with the tiles, but I would say that's not something that's really necessary. That having this map and having it all set up is just so good. So good. So there are some things that you're giving up with Jaws of the Lion versus the original Gloomhaven. I will say that I don't think that you're really missing out on anything too much. There are a few things, and I'll get into all of them. Firstly, there are event cards in the game. At least in the original one, there would be city and road cards. And in this one, in Jaws of the Lion, there's only city cards. The road cards in the original one are not... They're more like flavor, give you a feel into the world. They tend to have a negative side effect. There can be positive as well occasionally, but less so. But it's nothing detrimental. It's nothing that's integral to the game. So that's part of it. Another thing is the characters. The original game, because it was such a big, epically long campaign, you could play as multiple characters through it. You were able to retire characters depending on the circumstances of a sort of retired card that you can get as each player has played. In this game, it doesn't seem to be anything of that sort. It looks like you just pick the character and you go all the way through till the end of the game, or as long as you've done all the campaign missions. However, that being said, there are 4 characters in this game, 4 unique characters that were not in the original Gloomhaven. So even if you wanted, you could actually play this game multiple times, utilizing different characters. If you were crazy, you could go and take these characters and bring them into the original Gloomhaven, perhaps. That could be fun. Though there are some differences within Jaws of the Lion versus the original one, there is so much that retains the same feel and sensibility of the original game. And I would actually think that the story is actually better in the Jaws of the Lion than the original one. In the original one, having played it for such a long period of time, is that the story is the story is thin. But not only that, because it's such a long campaign, you actually forget where you are in or why you're even doing it. You're just sort of doing it. And that kind of sucks in a certain way. Like you do it because it's fun, but you don't know why you're doing it. Whereas this, at least it's quick enough, everything's set up in such a way that, and it's not long in terms of this grand or grandiose campaign, that you can remember why you even got into the first place. And I think that's quite a nice feel. Also, all the mechanics are exactly the same as one expects or one remembers in the original, and it's still a great 2-card system with a lack of communication, trying to, well, defeat the monsters out there. Who doesn't like defeating monsters? It really holds to all the same things. You get 4 unique characters with special abilities, or each one of them playing individually or uniquely from each other, which is awesome. So you've got variety, which is great. They have the same kind of model or models that used to be in the original one, which are great for painting up and to add life to the game. And if you are interested in painting up your grey lifeless miniatures, I am hopefully going to try and do some streaming where I'm going to paint each one of these models up, and hopefully help you guys just find a cool color scheme or whatever it's going to be to making them look cool on the board. So I've spoken about this game, and you know, I think if you're previously a fan of Gloomhaven and stuff like that, you're like, sign me up, I'm getting this. Well, you've already bought it probably, because you know who you are, yeah. However, that doesn't mean Gloomhaven is completely devoid of flaws or issues. I mean, though it's like #1 in Board Game Geek, and you know, I kind of know why it is, there are things about it that are fiddly. If anything, actually, this game is kind of fiddly. And part of the fiddliness of it is how much stuff you kind of need to make it work. And I go, okay, well, what kind of stuff do you need? Well, firstly, yeah, you need all these tokens. Great. And then you need your character. Okay, fine, got the model. But then you need your wheel for your health, and then for your experience. Then you need all your hand. Okay, gotcha, got my hand, I got this. You need your little character sheet to tell you what your health is going to be. You've got a little pad of paper telling you your experience and the gold that you've picked up and the perks that you've acquired throughout all of this stuff. Okay, but then you got your monsters, you got your various different types of monsters. You got each one of them has their own unique type of like sort of AI deck telling you what it's going to be doing, what their initiative is going to be, and what kind of attack is going to be set up. And when you've got multiple enemies, each character going on, each character then has also their own attack modifier deck. The monsters have their own attack modifier deck. Everyone's moving in different initiatives. There's magic, or the elements of magic, like ice and fire and all of those. There's a lot of little things you've got to manage in this game. It's not the easiest. It's fiddly. Remembering every single little bit as you go along. Obviously, with practice, yeah, sure, you can do it. But at first, it might seem a little overwhelming. If you feel like, oh, I don't want any of that, well, then, don't go for it, because there's a lot of it in here. But if you want to experiment and try a game where it really has been sort of so highly regarded as being one of the best board games kind of current, this is a hard one to beat. At roughly around $50, it's less than half the cost of the main one. But it's such a good money value for such a good game. It's more concise in what's going on and gives you all the flavor, all the feels, all the things that you want of what Gloomhaven is, and gives it to you in a neat little package. It's hard to beat that, actually. I can imagine Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion being a better game, or even surpassing the ranking of the original Gloomhaven, just because of those sort of simple elements. It may not be a better game, but because it's of ease of use, because it's less expensive, because the map system and just the organization that it already has, it's more fun, weirdly, like that, because it gets rid of all this heaviness, all this weight. I mean, if I was to go and take... I joked about this box getting onto this table. Okay. And you think to yourself, well, it's just a big giant box. This box is filled to the brim. I mean, literally filled to the brim. There is no space in this thing for me to fit anything else in it. Rule books, yes, check. Stickers, check. All of these Tilings, check. And if I don't put the tiling in the right way, this box is impossible to close. I mean, is impossible to close. I've already done that to myself. I've already messed my life up as we speak. There is so much in this box, and it's so difficult to handle that it's... Not that it's difficult per se, but it's a lot. Like, you've got to be ready, you've got to want to be enveloped by this wave of cardboard cutouts and plastic bits and tokens and cards and whatnot. And if you want to go down that road, you're going to have a great time. Find some friends. It's better with friends. But you don't need all this. You can just need this. I almost wish that Gloomhaven created this game first before punching this one out. And that's not to say, because I love Gloomhaven. I played this game for over a year. So that's my review on Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. A smaller, streamlined package of the big brother of this game. Thinned down, didn't eat quite as many pork sausages, and is loving life for it. It's got all the feels, all the things you want from the original one in this little package. If you don't like the idea of fiddliness, and you want it to be really simple, this game might not be for you. If you're on the fence at all, I'm just going to tell you, buy this game. Buy this one. Don't buy the big one. If you love this one, buy the big one, because, well, you're just going to have more of the same goodness, except you can go a little further with it. And if you're like me, I'm sure there's a whole lot of you out there who own the big one and the small one, well, Frosthaven's also coming out, and that did exceptionally well on Kickstarter, and I think that's going to be coming in the next year. So there's more glooming, haven-y things than you know what to do with. It's all coming, it's all here, and it's a lot of fun if you're a dungeon adventure monster slayer like myself. Until next time, so see you guys later.